finishing up my 9th year. Learning here has to be more relevant for our students to buy in. So in that regard, it's a challenge to make what I teach relevant for our students. But also we have a lot of hands-on opportunities for our students that a lot of traditional schools don't have. I had lived abroad for a while, and my first job in the States, I was teaching at an international boarding school in Florida. And my husband is from Colorado, and so we decided to move to Colorado. And I knew I wanted to work at an alternative school, and I saw that Brady was hiring. So I contacted Mr. Braley, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Braley hired me because he knew that I had been in the Peace Corps. It's a pretty tough job, and that I was able to be successful, and that all of my teaching has been in alternative schools. And I think he valued that and thought I'd be a good addition. So he hired me. For English, our mission is to create lifelong learners and to have students be able to articulate orally and in their writing very strong communication skills, and to be able to adapt to all of the challenges that the world outside of school brings in terms of reading and writing and communication. So we have to be very clear with our expectations. We provide students with rubrics and the end goal. It is their job then, if they want to do something a little bit different than what we have planned, that they create their assignment that shows what the rubric is looking for. So they're able to show us their skills through a variety of different ways. A lot of times we let them create the assignment in terms of extra credit and or just changing up the assignment in general, helping them understand the guidelines and the big picture, and letting them work backwards to create that assignment to show that creativity in their knowledge. So we use it in a variety of different ways. Using it allows me to see how much the students really understand and what they grasp. It helps me to check their understanding, and it also helps our students focus on thinking about those key concepts. And for the most part, it helps me understand where they're coming from and what they've gotten out of the lesson, and can they do that higher order questioning. And a lot of times their discussions, or if it's in writing too, we'll be able to see where there might be any learning gaps and we can fix it. Conversation, respecting others, listening, participating, explaining, and just discussing in general. I think it also allows our students to see other people's perspectives and see things through a different lens. So academic discussions are pretty useful. We don't do them as much as we like to, but when we do them, it's really rewarding for the kids to see where other people are coming from and their viewpoints. When we give them work that is relevant, when we give them work that's hands-on, where they're able to be in control. It has to have some complexity to it so that students can master new skills and improve upon current skills. The big piece is it has to have significance and purpose. So all those combined together, I think, would create meaningful work for our students. We have a lot of co-teaching going on in the building, where we have cross-curricular activities going on and projects, and like I work with the history department, and I know other departments team up. We also attend field trips. Just being available in general is helpful for our students to make those connections. And then also we have tutoring available 3 days a week, where we have teachers in all subject areas available to help those students to make those connections. But again, a big piece of that is the hands-on activities that we have and field trips.
This is my first year at Brady. There's more attention to individual students. There's more leeway given in how that attention happens. And I really get to know the kids more here than I did before. Yeah, I've had a couple of different lifetimes. I was an engineer at one point in my life. I was also a bartender and a waitress at one point in my life, and I've always liked working with kids. I don't like rules very much, so it's kind of hard if you're going to teach in a traditional school, if you have a lot of rules on you. So I needed a place that would give me some freedom to be myself and to be able to connect with kids. I think one of the biggest things is to help kids feel safe. It's really important for us. Like, if there's not a relationship that can happen, if there's not a feeling of safety in the room, then the learning doesn't happen at all. So forget it. So one of the things that we really work hard to do is to create this environment where kids feel safe, kids feel heard, seen, loved, if that's a place that can happen, and then we make math happen. And then we start talking about pie, and then we start talking about how to buy a car and budget for things, but you gotta feel safe first. It takes it out of school. School can be this thing where it's like worksheets and then we're all getting through, and then you have a grade, and then it's done, and then you moved on, but the higher level questionings take you to that place of like, what are we doing this for? We're humans, we're connecting, what are we doing this for? So let's talk about that too, let's talk about life. It depends on the day. I hope that academic discussion means that we're willing to talk to each other about things without necessarily having to know the answer. Like, today showed a painting up on the board. What does this painting make you feel like? You know, what does this do? Because art and math are definitely connected. So where does this go? Can we discuss things without having to pretend like we know? So what if you know what 3.14 is pi? That doesn't make you smart. Can you think? Can I think? Can we change our minds?
I've been here 9 years now. No matter where you go, learning is an individual act. At its best, in schools at least, it's the result of an interesting point of curiosity posed by the teacher, facilitator, and explored together, student and teacher, side by side. Many other schools see learning in its least favorable aspects. I, the great and mighty, have acquired some knowledge that you, the lowly student, must beg to share with me on my own terms. Both methods can produce the same result in the end, but I'll take inspiring over groveling any day. I was working overseas for about a decade with some of the more privileged kids on earth, and I really wanted to have serve as a different population. So Brady fit that description really well, and they had some fine champagne powder up in the mountains, so I figured I'd come to Colorado. The science department mission is to create a place where any student can come and have their Maslowian needs met, gain access to an enriching experience so they can refocus and redefine their goals and acquire the tools necessary to achieve them in a malleable, dynamic, global community. I like to provide the time, space, and place for students to question what they think they know about topics as mundane as urban legends, all the way down the road to whether or not we're experiencing an alternate reality in this universe and everything in between. And I like also to allow students to answer their own questions, mostly by never answering one directly myself, and by turning every what if into a what happened that I can by allowing them to conduct their own experiments. By focusing on the really interesting questions, by necessity I gloss over the details a bit. I like to get the class as a whole to see a number of varied and spectacular forests instead of individually seeing trees too much. So individually I invite them to choose at least 1 or 2 trees to find interesting, climb up and down, check out the bark, look at the bugs underneath, maybe even chop down from time to time, get them to find the answers that they find interesting. Academic discussions are those in which defendable facts and statements are thrown out to cut through the opinions and beliefs which are indefensible. Specifically in my science class, the goal is to produce citizens who won't be swayed by populist tenets, whether under the scrutiny of logic and reason, and I want them to know what they are for or against, GMOs for example, and not just referring to others' Facebook posts to figure out what they think they should or shouldn't do. When planning for a course, we're encouraged to strip the content down to its bare essentials, and thereby allowing for more in-depth analysis of only the most relevant and applicable aspects of the unit study. Brady, we understand that the shift in the cognitive load should be placed squarely on the student, and as I mentioned earlier, not the force, just the knowledge that the student has to lay siege to in order to pass some random test. Information's everywhere. I can just as easily ask Siri for the electron configuration of argon as a student. And unfortunately, the quantum nature of an electron's probable placement within an electron cloud has no utility for most of us. So I'd rather spend our time having students understand why bottled water is a scam from a chemist's point of view. I hope we allow students to find those tangential pathways from the original point of instructional design. And what I can say for sure is that we do not shut down the lines of questioning in order to achieve some arbitrary endpoint of instructor discussion for the day. And I, for one, encourage the tangents.
This will be my third year. The learning here at Brady is mostly hands-on. There's a lot of activities that is linked to the content that we guide the students to actually practicalize. They put it into action. They get out of the class and the experience the content coming up in real world situations. They are able to, they're able to kind of model the things that the inventions, the developments, the products that came as a result of scientific inquiry that we're enjoying generally. They're able to model such even in the classroom. So it makes a big difference from mostly theoretical practical presentations. Yeah, I came to Brady and was subbing for a short while. And as I was subbing, I experienced this engagement and involvement of students in the activities. There were a lot of materials, resources that were available. So I liked that, and I was just browsing through the district website, and I saw there was an opening here at Brady, so I just applied, not knowing what was going on, and ultimately I got it. In the Department of Science, we want to guide our students. Our philosophy is to guide our students to be able to experience different career options that could be available unto them after passing through the department. So we expose them to multiple career options, and we help them also. Our goal is to help them to be independent learners, so that they can develop their own learning strategies, and they can build on what they have learned and actually use it for their own benefit and definitely societal benefits also. We help these students design their learning. First of all, when they come into my class, for example, I come into the class knowing the scope that I want them to cover, but I come in also understanding that they may not be there. So I set a goal, and then I encourage them also to set a goal for themselves, so that wherever they are, they can move on or move up or go even beyond the class. So that way students can develop their own learning strategies and how much they can cover over a period of time, work with them at their pace, and also infuse in what they're learning the basic content of the discipline. so that they can adjust their learning styles and to embrace the most important materials they need to learn, and at the same time they have an eye on how to actualize and practicalize this content in real life situations and for their own benefits. High level questioning, it engenders critical thinking, helps students to think deep and also engage in discussions that are deep, that bring out the depth of knowledge they have acquired, and they're able to transfer this knowledge also to events and situations that are arising either in the society, in their lives, in their families. So critical thinking helps the students think beyond just the surface and beyond yes and no kind of answers. It generates and engenders conversation, discussion that are content laced. So and that brings out in our students also, you'll be surprised, the understanding that they have, that they carry along, and you'll be able to understand from there how smart or brilliant the students are. You will not know that they're that intelligent or they're that thoughtful about what is going on around them. So critical thinking brings out the depth, the real deep thought and thinking about what is going on and what they are doing in there. Academic discussion has to do with discussion that embraces, that has a lot of content, the content of the materials that they have learned. They are using the vocabulary, they're using words properly that they have developed or has been developed or introduced to them in respect of that sphere of study, and they're able to relate those words to the discussion that is going on and make sense of what they are talking or what they are discussing, and be able to present material or issues from such knowledge-based standpoint. In many academic environments, in some of those that I have been at, we often hear students who say, what I'm doing here does not, I don't need it, it's of no value to me. So meaningful work is the kind of work that we present, that students engage in, that they can see value in immediately. Students can learn material here, engage in material here, and they can right away find value, see avenues where they can apply this knowledge in their personal lives or in service at home or in the school environment. And we see students, and also cross fertilization, drawing from other disciplines and applying it in one discipline across another. So the work that they are doing in a particular discipline, say in science, shows some meaningful value to them, maybe in social sciences or maybe in languages. They are able to apply those, and they see it. So there is value to what they are learning. There is application to what they are learning. There is benefit personal to them to what they are doing, and makes school enjoyable for them. That would be meaningful work to me. Just like I had mentioned with regards to meaningful work, it's important for what we do in the classroom to be able to, for students to be able to see the connection of this to their lives now and to their lives in the future, maybe to their career and so on. So we infuse the connection. We're able to see the connection between what we are doing in one class with another class, what we're doing in one discipline with another discipline, and also how this can be connected to our personal lives and to our career goals, and also even to the general affairs of the nation around us. We can immediately see how some of these things we're learning, how they emerge in our society, so we can positively contribute to conversations, discussions, debates, and activities at various levels in the family, in the society, and in the school. And so students are able to connect what they're learning to other areas of endeavor.